Thanks for joining me when I'm not podcasting. Menshealth.com put out a story. Thought it was kind of interesting. We've heard of the word overwhelming. Well, how about taking out the word over? Just whelming. WHLMING. Well, here's what it is. It is a really annoying thing people keep doing on dating apps. Well, kind of like negging as just as off-putting. So here's what's being said. It's when a match continuously talks about being overwhelmed by the number of other matches they have. The term whelming was coined by Patja Braithwaite in an op-ed for Self magazine. So here's what they say in the story. So perhaps you've had an interaction of this sort on a dating app before. You match with somebody, and so you send them a message to say hi. That is how these things are done after all. Then maybe you don't hear back from them, so you think, oh, well, never mind. Then they do respond, and they're apologetic about their delay of getting back to you. And they say they're struggling to cope with the inundation of matches and messages their profile's getting. So you forge on with the conversation, but again and again, they're slow to reply and admit to being preoccupied with all the other people they're having. It can be a disheartening experience, as it's hard not to feel like you're being kept on the bench as a backup plan. But equally, it makes you think, is this person actually connecting with anybody if they're stretched thinly as they profess? So the word is called whelming, and is said to be increasingly commonplace, incredibly rude behavior. Quote, you wouldn't approach someone in a bar and say, wow, 37 other people in this bar have expressed interest in me. I'm so overwhelmed, she wrote. Quote, so why would it ever be okay to do something so incredibly awkward in the liminal space that is online dating? Question. End quote. You don't even have to be actively chatting with somebody who for whelming to rear its ugly head. Because they talk about countless profiles where an individual apologizes in advance if they're slow to reply to messages on account of how many they receive. Whenever I see this, I take it as an indicator of the quality of interaction I'm going to have with that person. I'm not saying whelming is irredeemable or the sign of a bad person. It's just rude. But maybe these people are just being honest and generally think it's a normal thing to say with no awareness of how they're coming across, which is a red flag of its own when you think about how that speaks to the general consideration for other people's feelings. Well, you know what? I get where people don't like the whelmers here, okay? But yeah, negging is the thing they talk about when you have a pickup artist that they find like little backhanded compliments, which is even some out in the story. In here, whelming is a lot in common with negging, the practice of undermining someone's confidence by paying them backhanded compliments. So if you read any books about pickup artists, they talk about negging. You should do that, right? I mean, I have done a little bit of that before, not because I was a pickup artist, but I did use the lines to be negging. I was like, I don't know if you hear it a lot, but I think you're pretty. Like, it's stuff like that. Pretty shitty way to kind of go, but like, sometimes it's just to create an effect. And what's funny is the girl I did go out with, she would always hold that over my head, kind of funny, because she was like, oh, okay. So she took it nicely, which I can appreciate. But there you go. It's just like some people just want to feel like they get attention. They want to just feel like they're getting attention. So they're going to probably replicate it. And sometimes it's probably just bullshit. I think that's what it is. Now, there are places on dating sites where, God forbid, you go on those sugar dating sites like Seeking Arrangement or Sugar Daddy for Me and all these other places that absolutely you are going to get overwhelmed and inundated with messages because of how it is. But of course, there's like women or men will be patient because they're hoping to get a sugar baby that they can go ahead and pay to have sex with or do whatever they want with. And the sugar daddy for a girl, in the same way she performed, to get something, money, some kind of sustenance from. But whelming, I'm not sure if that's something to be so concerned about. I mean, it's just, if you feel like somebody's going to be like that, then you just move along. And again, how are you going to have your feelings hurt online? That doesn't make any sense either. Again, it's dating apps. Like, you don't know who this person is going to be behind the wall. They could be catfishing. I know of catfishing that's out there where this kind of stuff is being done. It's just to be a discouragement. This stuff, it actually does happen. Believe it or not. Especially on Hinge for whatever reason. There's always a bunch of bots up there. Just saying. In the case of whelmers, instead of belittling or denigrating something about the person, they are bigging up themselves, albeit in a casual, offhand manner. Quote, I wish I had more time and attention to dedicate to you, but I'm just so in demand with all these other people. The end results of whelming and negging are remarkably similar. They're aiming to place themselves on higher ground or create some kind of skewed power dynamic where the other person feels fortunate to be given the chance with such a popular, desirable suitor. Listen, if it's an honest statement, you don't want to just, hamper on it. You just don't want to go ahead and keep focusing on that as if you think you're going to get some kind of leverage. It doesn't work that way. You make it as a one-shot phrase that's honest, that's it. But whelming sounds like it's just being hit over the head every time, just to make it a point. Story goes on to say whether or not someone is whelming on purpose, it's worth noting that nobody on a dating app wants to hear how many other people you're matching, chatting, or flirting with. We're on these platforms for a reason, and we all have matches and messages from different people. You don't score points by referencing yours, but you definitely lose points if you use them as some kind of excuse not to really make an effort for the person you're talking to. But what I think is more important than anything else is blunt honesty. Maybe not everybody wants to hear that, but for me, I think it's very important to say, you know what? Why not? Make it a point to go ahead and say what you really think. But at least, have some tactfulness, right? That's what would be most important. Just saying. Going to leave it there. Thanks for listening in, liking, sharing, subscribing. Make sure to go ahead and please rate and review over an Apple Podcast. Tell more people about the show. Thank you all for listening in, as you always do. I'm so thankful and so grateful. And I'll talk to you next time.